establish a Palestinian state. Let's speak to Rami Khouri, who's a senior fellow at the Harvard Kennedy School. He's joining us from Boston. Welcome back to Al Jazeera. So in response to that statement that was put out by the foreign ministers of European countries, the Israeli National Security Minister said this, allow me to quote, "I say to the Americans, to the Europeans, stop being worried. This is our mission, our outlook. 9 outposts is nice, but it's not enough. We want much more." What will the Europeans and the Americans do next?
Well, you've got two things going on here. You've got the big Western powers really coming to the crunch of the question that they've never addressed for the last 30, 40 years, which is, are they serious about implementing international law equally for Palestinians and Israelis, or are they just going to issue statements when the Israelis do something that's illegal and criminal, but they take strong action when the Palestinians do something? The other one is for the Israelis, that the Israelis have been implementing this policy of taking land from the Palestinians and settling it, colonizing it with their own people, mostly coming from Brooklyn and Poland and other places, and Russia. And the Israelis have done this since 1947. They've been taking Palestinian land. So these are historical trends that are really at a moment of reckoning now. And we'll have to see. If we're talking about the rule of law, then we'll have to get a better action response from the West, as the West has acted in Ukraine.
So what difference do these statements make that are put out by the Europeans? And also, we did hear from the U.S. State Department saying that it's, quote, deeply troubled by the announcement, and this undermines the prospects of a two-state solution. I mean, do the Israelis even care about these statements?
I don't think they really care. They've been ignoring these statements. In fact, they've been spitting in the face of the Americans often. Literally, when an American president or secretary of state visits Israel, same day they authorize a new settlement. This has been their pattern over the last 20, 30 years. They don't really care because they're never subjected to real sanctions or accountability. And we don't know what's going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if the Americans and Europeans realize that this is going to create a catastrophe if it keeps going on, that they might say, well, maybe we should let the International Court of Justice or the International Criminal Court investigate this and help us see what's to be done. Signals like that might cause the Israelis to react, but up until now, those signals have not been made by the West to hold accountable any wrongdoer in the region, especially in Israel. And the Israelis have never suffered any pressure, therefore they keep doing what they're doing.
Speaking of international law, I wonder if you can just explain this, because the Israelis are saying that they're going to formalize or legalize these settlements. But how can these settlements actually be legalized when settlements are illegal under international law?
Well, that's the whole point. The Israelis have said for many years, since '67, they've come up with this very magical legal argument that this land, the West Bank and Gaza and East Jerusalem and the Golan Heights, is not occupied. They don't occupy it. They say this is contested, that the sovereignty of this land was never clear. Virtually the whole world disagrees with that, and the UN and all serious international foreign ministries around the world. So this is their argument, that they do whatever they want. They claim this land by biblical right, and they will keep doing what they're doing until they're forced to, in the same way that the South African apartheid regime was forced finally to change its policies. And the Israeli apartheid regime in the occupied areas similarly is going to have to come to a moment of reckoning. And the settlements is one of the key issues. Another one is the Judaization of Jerusalem. Third one is destroying houses, collective punishment. There's many points on which the international community could take a stand,
right.
And maybe it'll be the settlements.
On the ground, Rami Khouri, the UN has documented more than 70 settler attacks against Palestinians, and this was just in January of this year. Is there a worry that these settlements are going to embolden the settlers even more?
Yes, this has already happened. We've had in the first month and a half almost of this year about 45 Palestinians killed. Most of them non-combatants. Some of them, the Israelis claim, were guerrilla fighters preparing to attack or something like that with no evidence or proof, which is the usual situation when Israel does this. But the violence against the Palestinians, the physical violence, beating Palestinians, shooting them, burning their olive groves, destroying their houses, and the political violence of continuing to drive them out of areas such as the area south of Hebron, where they're trying to clear out a whole series of villages.
Right.
This is already aggravated, and it's going to get even more aggravated now.
We thank you so much, Rami Khouri, for speaking to us from Boston.
Thank you.
Now, police